was an incredible talk, Mr. Walker. Let's give it up for him one more time. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ethan Burgess, and I am a member of the TEDxSewickley Class. It is my honor to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Jackie Anderson. Dr. Anderson is a proud member of the Sewickley Academy Class of 2004 and recipient of Sewickley Academy Class. Dr. Anderson graduated magna cum laude from West Virginia University with bachelor's degrees in both Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering and a minor in Spanish. During her undergraduate studies, she interned with NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and the California Institute of Technology, where she investigated the behavior of microparticles in Martian conditions. Jackie went on to work for the Boeing Company for 5 years as a project engineer and stress analyst for the Chinook helicopter. While at Boeing, she also became an EMT and conducted her postgraduate studies at Villanova University and Jefferson University. Jackie earned her medical degree at the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine and completed her residency in emergency medicine at Jefferson Northeast, where she became a chief resident during her 4th year of training. After practicing in inner-city hospitals during the COVID-19 pandemic, Dr. Anderson began working in rural communities in southwestern New York with the University of Rochester. In addition to her work as an emergency physician, Dr. Anderson also served as the co-medical director of the emergency department at Jones Memorial Hospital. She recently returned to the Pittsburgh area, where she continues to serve rural communities with Panhandle healthcare. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Anderson to the stage.
26 minutes. That is the amount of time I spent with him. From the moment my fellow EMTs and I found him sitting on the basement floor, leaning against a cold, wet, concrete wall, soaked in blood, to the moment we dropped him off at the local emergency department. He was pale, weak, his head hung in defeat. He had lacerations to his wrist, stab wounds to his chest, and a loop of intestine sitting on top of his abdomen. A butcher knife sat beside him, blood streaked 2 inches up the blade, still wet, and a paring knife on his other side, dry blood on its tip. And during those 26 minutes, he told me his story. From the moment he picked up the first knife to the moment he put down the second. And he told me he stopped cutting because he stopped bleeding. His eyes were empty of hope and so full of fear. When we dropped him off at the emergency department, the trauma team took over. They began to inventory his self-inflicted wounds. They repeated his vital signs. They prepared imaging surgical intervention. They would have more than 26 minutes, and that is exactly what I wanted. My scope of practice as an EMT was limited. I wanted more time, more experience, more responsibility, and the knowledge to earn all of those things. So I resigned from my position with the Boeing Company, and I began medical school. And after 4 years of medical school, 4 years of residency, I moved to rural New York, where I began practicing as an emergency medicine physician. The road to get here was long and grueling, as it should be. It is a fast-paced environment, patients are sick, and decisions often need to be made quickly. And I love it, but I don't often talk about it. Because when my profession comes up in conversation, the typical response is, wow, that's a hard job. I bet you see a lot of really awful things. But what I dread is the question that then usually follows. What is the most terrible thing you have ever seen? It is an incredibly insensitive question, one rooted in our inherent curiosity as humans, I get it. But the emergency department is a wild place. I swear I have stood in rooms comprising the circles of hell. The screams are soul-piercing, The beeping monitors are deafening, yet so is the silence. It can be a scary place, a lonely place, a surprising place, a place where hope is lost and patients and loved ones' dark days become their worst days. Whether it's a new cancer diagnosis, a miscarriage, an untimely death. And add on top of that personal struggle, financial hardship, housing instability, transportation insecurity, poor medical literacy, drug abuse, weak familial and social support systems. You see, the emergency department is the definition of struggle. Adversity lives here. And it is here I have both seen and felt how humans face adversity. I see it in my patients, I see it in my colleagues, and I also see it within myself, both as a physician, but more importantly, as a human. When I began taking classes to become an EMT, I was very scared of blood and needles. And I remember riding along on 911 calls, shadowing the medic as part of class requirements, and looking away every time they started an IV on a patient. Sometimes I stare at my shoes. Sometimes I stare at the medic's face when he, she, or they placed an IV, watching them concentrate. Sometimes I stare out the window, anything to distract me. But slowly I allowed myself to watch, and eventually I was able to watch without feeling queasy. Early in my time as an EMT, there was some particularly awful calls where my brain told me do not leave the ambulance because I was so scared of what we would find. But I had a job to do, a job I very much wanted to do. And I knew my teammates were with me, and that somebody needed help. I vividly remember the first patient I ever performed CPR on, a teenage boy. And I was the first to start compressions, and I felt his ribs dislocate and break under my hands. I can still feel it, still hear it, and I remember listening to the birds singing in the trees that surrounded us, desperate to find something peaceful to settle myself. Because I had a job to do. But it was after that call that I took 1 month off of volunteering as an EMT because I needed time. Time to grieve the death of a high school student. Time to process. Time to feel. Time to regain the courage needed to perform CPR on the next patient, because the body keeps the score. And residency taught me a lot. Put simply, a lot of times our treatment plans are aimed to fix something. Whether it's a dislocated shoulder, high potassium, low sodium, urinary retention, a collapsed lung, difficulty breathing. And sometimes those fixes are aimed to buy time. Time for the patient to get to a specialist who can focus more on the underlying cause. But the hardest lesson I have learned as a physician, as simple and obvious and straightforward as it may sound, is that sometimes we just cannot fix it. Sometimes, despite standing in a building filled with knowledge, discipline, and drive, and millions of dollars worth of medical equipment and medications, sometimes it just is not enough. And the feeling that comes when walking into a patient's room or the family consultation room to deliver that message with their laser-focused eyes, all 5 senses grasping desperately at your every word. There is no word in the English language to describe that feeling. So, what we do is instead of trying to fight adversity, instead of trying to overcome adversity, instead of trying to defeat adversity, we walk alongside it. We sit with it. We sit in it, both physicians and nurses, patients and their families, because adversity lives here. And it is here that I have seen the human being's incredible ability to dig so deep to find what is needed to persevere in the face of adversity, because that lives here too. Strength. Strength in the mother who lost her 30-year-old daughter in a head-on car collision, both drivers texting. Discipline. Discipline in the man who abused alcohol for decades, now in end-stage liver failure. He's admitted to the hospital for almost a month, spends weeks in the ICU, is now sober because he knows that more alcohol will only hasten his death. Determination. Determination in the man who used IV drugs, was Narcan countless times, went to rehab, achieved sobriety, and now he dedicates his time with local crisis teams to encourage people who are still victim to the unrelenting grip of drugs to seek rehab. Fortitude. Fortitude in a man with a terminal cancer diagnosis who comes to the hospital to seek treatment for his pneumonia because he wants more time on this earth with his family. Compassion and selflessness. Compassion and selflessness in the husband and children who, after an unexpected metastatic lung cancer diagnosis in the emergency department, elect to put their wife and mother on hospice because she is too weak, too sick, too confused to make decisions for herself, and she is dying. Anger. Anger in the parent who fears that the money she lent her son to buy Christmas presents was the same money used to buy the bag of heroin that killed him. Because behind anger is fear. Fear that this will happen to someone else's child. So now she spends her time speaking with families. The emergency department is home to a caliber of strength I have seen nowhere else. It is a place where non-believers become believers, and that is why the question should not be, and cannot be, what is the most terrible thing you have ever seen? And instead, the question must be. It must be, what is the most beautiful thing you have ever seen? Because beauty lives here. There is a love and strength of unrivaled proportions in the way we come together, nurses and doctors, once strangers to our patients. In the way families show up for one another. In the way the human being perseveres in the face of adversity, motivated by the desire to keep living in whatever capacity living means to each one of us. Yes, adversity lives here, but beauty lives here too.